Hi everyone, this is Dr. Teresa Dale and you are on Natural Health Radio and we are simulcast on Facebook Live. So get a good seat, get a piece of paper and make some notes because we're going to discuss lots of health news today, and specifically we're going to talk about thermography and what you can do with it and what it is and what's the difference between mammography and thermography and how you can have a better life, a healthier life. And you'll be getting also information on using food as medicine and the politics of healthcare, as well as some new research on nutraceuticals, which you want to definitely stand by for. Meantime, I want to introduce my favorite guest so far, which is Dr. Michael. And Dr. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Your last name is Einshorn?
Einsohn.
Got that one wrong. Just corrected it. Okay. So Dr. Michael, is it okay if I call you that?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
And we understand that you are a chiropractor for a few years and that you love working on people, and you have a new love, not so new, but a love called thermography.
Yes.
And I want to ask you why you're so passionate about thermography.
The journey began when I was looking for a tool that could find the cause of all of the symptoms that my patients had, or the cause of all of the diagnoses that they had received. And that led my travels to Germany and the medical doctors there and the creation that they made, along with a holistic dentist, to create a tool called thermography, which is different than camera thermography. Their thermography is able to evaluate the function of every single organ of the body, and then it doesn't give you a cursory feedback like camera thermography that just shows inflammation. This actually shows the internal function of every system and every organ of the body.
And that I find most interesting, and I think this is what differs it from normal, what people know of as thermography, if you know about that, where they use a camera and you can see a visual of breasts, for example. If you want to get thermography, most women do it for their breasts, and they can see the different colors and the heat. They can see different things. This is a more evolved system where it's computer regular, it's regulated by computer, and whereby temperature is taken of different acupuncture points on the body, and then you can get a readout of the 5-element theory, the organs and glands and everything you can imagine. But, I understand now you can use it for prostate health as well.
Yes, and it was used for many years at the City of Hope Hospital as an adjunctive diagnostic screening device for prostate cancer.
Wonderful. And so therefore a lot of men use this.
Yes.
Okay, so that's good that we have something for our awesome men and we take care of them just as well as we do the women. I mean, it's very important.
Correct.
And related to dental, I have seen cameras where you can open your mouth and it will pick up dental stuff, inflammation and things like that. But how does the camera, the system you're using, which is on a computer, how does it differ in what you can get out of it?
Well, you can not only see things that are present, like many of the other tools can, but you can see the very initial early stages that can't be detected by any other technology. So it's the same thing. Earlier we were speaking, before we went on the air, we were talking about some of the differences between mammography and thermography. So again, the changes that take place on a thermogram were done in a study to show that changes take place 7 to 10 years earlier on a thermogram than on a mammogram. So it's the same thing in the dental region. We show the very early stages of things changing, and that is usually due to some type of periodontal disease that has not been revealed by normal dental and even biological evaluations.
Right, and sometimes these things are very hard to pick up. In other words, if you go to the dentist and have him look at it, it might be like, it might be futile.
Correct.
You have to go a lot deeper than that, right?
Yes.
So this will pick up root canals and things like that.
Yes.
Okay. It will also pick up other things you were telling me about. I was quite surprised about some neurological things as well.
Oh, it's a very pronounced diagnostic tool in the field of neurology because it evaluates the presence or absence of heavy metal toxicity.
Wonderful.
And it also shows if there's environmental toxins. And then when you look at the brain profile, because it goes very deep into that, it'll show you if those chemicals are present, then usually the pH of the body has changed. And then you also can show whether you have viral infections, bacterial infections, yeast infections, and even Lyme disease now shows up on a thermogram.
Wonderful. Now everybody now wants to know, everybody's waiting to see what's wrong with mammography. I need you to lay it on the line.
Well, mammography is well documented to cause cancer. If you're a mammogram technician, you have to wear a shield that covers your breasts and that covers your pelvis so you don't get exposed to radiation.
Duh.
And it's the same thing for man. You have to wear a gonadal shield by law to protect your gonads, your jewels, from being exposed to radiation. We know that radiation causes DNA changes, and it's a very deleterious effect to the body. And there are many, many books now that are written that show that, and major studies that go back into the mid-90s that have documented that.
Would you say mammograms can actually cause cancer?
Yes, they do.
So, and that is what I've done so much research on, is that there is no doubt that you never want to do a mammogram. You never want to do it. What you want to do is find someone, or Dr. Michael, to get a thermogram so that you can find out about your breaths, your teeth, and you can find out what's the cause is of your symptomology. That's what you want to know. You just don't want to know. You have symptoms. And to go to somebody to tell you, yeah, and agree with you, yeah, you got those symptoms, that's great. But wouldn't you love to know why, what the cause is? Well, this type of thermography, I've known about it for years because it was originated in Germany, and I've loved it for years. It's the best form of thermography that you can possibly get because of the wealth of information in one visit that you can achieve. So the time that you spend worrying about something can be alleviated, maybe totally, by getting this type of thermography because it covers so many things.
Yeah, and it's not even about symptoms because the leading cause of death...
Symptoms don't show.
Yeah, the leading cause of death in this country is still the silent killer, which is heart attack.
I know.
And so there's no symptoms, but the thermogram evaluates the electrophysical function of the heart, the pericardium, the internal carotid, the external carotid, and the actual blood flow to the heart. So it's going to show things way before they manifest. So this is really the ideal way to evaluate the health of a human being.
Yes, and I would definitely suggest that you consider doing that no matter where you live. Dr. Michael is in Dallas, and I'm going to give you his phone number. It's 214-352-8758. And that's 214-352-8758. And what we want to do is to make sure that you're taken care of, as we talk about every week. And I give you lots of information, and you know that I only have people on this show whereby I I like what they're doing. I like how they're doing it. And it's very important to me that you end up in good hands. And doing thermography is a safe way to do a check. You could do it every year, you know. Now, I remember a long time ago, years ago, I had it done, and I was very impressed, very, very impressed with this form of thermography. Now they have even a more updated system. You can do more with it. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So, and even then at that time they did the teeth. But I feel like now it's probably more sensitive.
It's way more sensitive, and you immediately get a computer printout within minutes. Mm-hmm. So it's a 6-page report, so you know exactly what's happening as soon as the test is done. You don't have to wait.
That is just wonderful. I think the waiting is what gets people. They
Yes.
go and they get a test
Right.
done, and then you got to wait 2 weeks to get it back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, doesn't anybody have common sense anymore? I mean, it's ridiculous. Like some of my patients want to do an organic acid test, which is very deep, covers bacteria, fungus, mold, all kinds of things. But it takes 3 weeks to get it back. So you have people calling, oh, I'm concerned and I'm worried and I can't really rush it because it takes that long to make sure that the specimens are handled the right way so the information is accurate. It just takes that long. Whereas this is more or less instant.
And then ultimately, even if you're examining for those microbes, what was the cause?
Exactly.
So the thermogram is the only diagnostic tool that I know of that evaluates the lymphatic system, which is the basis of your whole immune function.
There are other pieces of equipment and we're talking about a piece of equipment that analyzes the lymph system and many other things, including teeth. However, the equipment themselves and the methodology in extracting that information from the patient requires you're just touching 2 electrodes. And that's not enough. It doesn't pick up things, in my opinion, accurately, like the form of computer regulation that a thermography that we're talking about with Dr. Michael. So I would suggest that.
So we've done around 20,000 tests,
Mm-hmm.
and every 6 months or so, someone comes in and says, well, is this duplicatable? I said, yeah, it's totally duplicatable. It's not
reproducible.
It's not
Mm-hmm.
dependent on the person giving the test at all, like the
equipment.
Like the equipment is. So people still say, well, I want to see. And they come in on Monday and they do a test, and then they change their name for Wednesday, and they come back in and they spend a lot of money to find out something that we've done hundreds and hundreds of times, is that it's exactly the same results.
Well, there was something I did that was similar to that when I started doing saliva testing.
Mm-hmm.
And I've used different labs for that, for accurate hormonal analysis. I thought to myself, I'm gonna send in my saliva, and one of these tubes is going to be from a dog. And so I put the dog's saliva in the tube, and I send it into the lab, Daryl. And how are you doing today, Daryl?
I'm great, and I'm being very entertained by this conversation.
Good. And so I put one vial with dog saliva to test this lab, and 4 days later I get a call and they say, we can't process your saliva test. And I go, well, why is that? I've been waiting, 4 days. They said, because there's something really wrong. And I was like, well, what could be really wrong, And they said, did you put somebody else's saliva in here with you, or maybe an animal? And they picked it up. And that's how I knew. That's how I knew that was the key that I can use. I can trust this lab. Now, if I would have gotten a report back that would have given me levels, I would have called my attorney and said, these people shouldn't be in business.
And you needed to be dewormed. Yeah.
Right.
kind of an interesting similarity is when we've done the dental exam, and then it's very clear that there's a major infection, and often it's underneath a real nicely placed crown. And our patients have come to understand the validity of the test and the accuracy of the test. So they went to their biological dentist, and he said, no, we've done x-rays, there's nothing wrong with the tooth. And the patient demanded to have the crown removed. And he said, well, okay, I'll do it, but I'm doing it against my, medical knowledge of what's proper. And so he did it, and underneath was this huge deteriorated just glob of black that was just sitting there.
Yeah.
And the thermogram picked it up, and that would have caused so much, problems in that person's body. Because as we know, every tooth runs on a meridian.
And it's related to organs, and glands, and vertebrae. And you as a chiropractor would find that most useful because that gives you an insight to the structure.
And joints.
Everything, structure.
I had an Olympic swimmer come in, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with his shoulder. And we identified a tooth on the same side of his shoulder. And he went to the dentist, and it was a very good diagnostic dentist, and they uncovered it and then fixed the tooth, and then his shoulder problem went away.
Yeah, so teeth are related when you have root canals, implants, and you have all of these things going on that I talk about incessantly on the show. Even with the biological dentist here. And I got to tell you, it's the cause of so many different things. So don't be surprised if you find out that the cause of your issue is a tooth or a bridge or something. And oftentimes people have metal crossing their midline of their mouth in a bridge, or and bridges have mercury in them. The red part of a false teeth, the red part of the false teeth, that has mercury in it to make it red. So there's so many different things that we need to be very careful.
So what we see on those is we see that because of the proximity alone, it goes right from the teeth into the brain. So when we do a thermogram, we see a lot of heavy metal toxicity in the brain already, just due to the kind of dental procedures that they've had done.
And so let's say, and this is what I hear all the time, Dr. Dale, I've spent $1 million on my mouth, and now you're telling me that I have an infected root canal, and this is causing the cyst that I have or the tumor that I have. And I go, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And so they said, I just spent $1 million. And I say with all kindness I say, I wish I was your banker because I'd help you, but I can't help you. I'm a naturopathic doctor. I'm a traditional naturopath. And my job is to make sure that you have accurate information related to your health. And that's what we're doing here.
Yes.
We're not arranging for financing or anything else. So I would clear your mind of the money thing and then just do the right thing. And it'll all work out. Everything will have a way of working out. But I understand people spend a lot of money on their teeth. I really get that. It's one of those things that, I've experienced and lots of people have experienced. But if it was done wrong and you're living with it your whole life, then it needs to be fixed.
Correct.
So related to prostate, when you're testing for prostate, you're looking for... Are you testing the prostate area itself, or are you getting that related to the teeth?
Well, the prostate has 9 different criteria that it can be influenced by. One is obviously the teeth that lead to that meridian. Others is the lymphatic in that groin area. The other is going to be the immune system function. And a very key organ that is classical and historical in relationship to prostate is the health of the pancreas. So just like for breast health, it's 13 criteria that allow you to know where the problem is coming from. So my last 3 breast cancer patients who were diagnosed through biopsy. There was nothing wrong with their breasts on the thermogram at all, but their breast teeth lit up with major infections, and when we sent them to a biological dentist, he also revealed the depth of the infection in that tooth, removed the infection from some wonderful therapies in a very effortless way, and then resolved it, and then restored the lymphatic system health. And when they went back to their medical doctor, they said, maybe we misdiagnosed you because we don't see any breast cancer anymore.
Yeah, it's an easy way out, isn't it?
Yes.
And we let them get away with it. Okay. So what we have what we're talking about, just a little recap here, is those of you who have come in of late, I can't see how many we're pretty filled up. We're talking about thermography versus mammography. Mammography, I feel, can cause cancer. And research shows that it just fills your breasts and your body with radiation.
It's not really a feeling. It's a documented science.
It's a documented science at this point.
Yes.
But I'm covering myself with a disclaimer. Okay? Because who knows who's watching this? I'm always covering myself with a disclaimer.
Yes.
Very important. And we need to understand that even though things are documented, even though we know that it's not good, even though we may tell a friend it's not good, they could choose to do it anyway. So what we have to do is give them the right information and more information.
So if we look at the difference between the two technologies.
Yes.
Mammography is only going to look at structure.
Right.
And that's it. Thermography, full body thermography, not camera thermography, full body thermography is going to look at function. And we always want to look at function because by the time you can see a structure, a mass, a growth, it's been there many years.
Yes.
Many years. So we want to see things before that manifests, or if it has already manifest, we want to know why.
And how many years before you actually can find a cyst or tumor or fibroid, how many years before that can it be detected?
About 7 to 10 years before you can even see it on any other kind of visualization of any medical technology.
Yeah, so I mean...
That's a long time.
And I would say the ability to heal naturally of these things as well. I mean, that's another choice to make. Finding the cause of it is the first thing you got to do.
Right.
But while you're finding the cause of it, you don't want to sit there. You want to do all natural things to help yourself.
Right.
And so that is what the Wellness Center does. And you could always check out our website and see all the things we have available for you to help with all kinds of things. First thing is accurate diagnosis, finding the cause, which is something that I write articles about finding the cause in chiropractic journals and magazines and all over the place, because it's the key. And what doctors oftentimes don't do is just confirm your symptoms and on a prescription pad or now on an iPhone or iPad, just write the drug. So
the beauty of the thermogram is that it gives you a baseline.
It does.
So when you're going to apply any therapy, whether it's medical or holistic or naturopathic or whatever title you'd like to give to it, you can see in 6 months where you have made your progress and where you haven't. And if anything has changed from the program that you're on, regardless of the path that you personally choose to pursue.
So I feel that the path that you choose to pursue may not be in the beginning this path, but you can change that path through education, through knowledge, through a gut feeling, through sensitivities to doing something a different way. And I would say to trust yourself and become more educated, make a decision to get a thermogram with this form of thermography as soon as you can. or as soon as it feels right, or as soon as you want to, however you want to think about that.
And what is the definition of a doctor? If we look it up in the dictionary, the Latin translation says to teach.
It's an educator.
Absolutely. And the second part of that definition says to lead out from within. So if your doctor is not teaching you and educating you, then you need to find someone.
Fire him.
Yeah,
or
you need
her.
to find someone who can lead you to knowledge is power.
And you are too precious, and you're a phenomenal person, and find the light inside of you and let that be your guide, because that will lead you to the right place for
Absolutely.
sure. So we want to know that we're both here to help you. And Dr. Dale's number would be 800-219-1261. That's my phone number. And then Dr. Michael's number is at 214-352-8758. And someone will be there to help you. I think that you've learned a lot today. I wish I could take your questions. But, I tell you what, if you email me or call that number for 800-219-1261 and give Jackie your question, she'll get it over to me so that next week I can answer it. Okay? Or you can just go to Dr. Michael's phone number that I gave you and give him a call. Again, that's 214-352-8758. And we are feeling really good about sharing with you today. And you have to know that if there's any fear in having mammographies, you're right to be fearful. Okay? Listen to yourself.
Always.
And make another choice, because the other choice will be thermography, and I strongly recommend that you do that. So we are about at the end of our time together, and I want to give you an opportunity to give any final words or inspiration to the people that are on Facebook today and on radio, listening on radio on iHeart and Amazon Alexa and Spotify. Anything you want to say to people?
Well, everything that Dr. Dale is sharing is something that's very dear to my heart. We're passionate in people getting educated and people making informed choices. That's the whole key, is making an informed choice, not based on, I like my doctor, he's been my doctor for a long time, or that I trust him. No, those don't hold face anymore. This is modern day. The technology has advanced. The education is there. The science is there. And the proof is there. So we've served for 20 years in Dallas. Before then, the Germans were doing it for a decade and a half before then. And it's approved and accepted by the FDA. And so it's something you really want to seriously investigate, and we're here to answer, just like Dr. Dale is. Any question that you have, please come forward, and we will find the time to very imminently respond to those questions.
So consider thermography and this particular form of thermography. And I am so glad that now it's at a much better, it's improved so much, more sensitive, and a lot of new things have been added. I'm really excited of what you can do today with this form of thermography. So give Dr. Michael a call, and we're going to say goodbye to him right now, and then we'll be continuing on with food as medicine, the politics of health, and covering some nutraceutical info. So hang on, and I want to thank you so very much.
Thank you very much.
And we'll see you later. I'm just going to continue on, however that works here. Okay, and then okay. And I wanted to make sure that Dr. Michael has my book. It's called Transform Your Emotional DNA. It's my first book, and it's about getting into the DNA and finding the identities that cause disease, whether it's heart disease or any kind of disease. the imprints are the things that one thing you can't find with thermography is belief systems and emotional genetic imprints. And that is another technique called neurophysical reprogramming, and this book tells you about it. So transform your emotional DNA. And this is on drdaleswellnessstore.com. So thank you so very much.
Thank you.
We'll talk soon.
Okay.
And we'll talk later today then,
All
a little
right.
bit later.
Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Take very good care of you and your son Thew.
Appreciate it.
All righty. So we're back with you now, and we want to move on to food as medicine. And I think an important part of using food as medicine is realizing that we're not talking about Big Macs or burgers, or we're not talking about, fish sticks or anything, or deep fried anything. What we're talking about is using whole food as medicine. If you look at macrobiotic and Michio Kushi, some people call it macroneurotic, but I call it the real name, macrobiotic. And I did this for years. And it's about your yin-yang foods. It's about balancing foods that way, balancing foods with pH, balancing foods with many different things. But I think if you're new at balancing your diet and your foods, you want to definitely consider trying the macrobiotic theory, which is using root vegetables for your yang foods and yin vegetables for your yin foods. Now, yin vegetables are anything grown high above the earth. The higher above the earth that it grows, the more yin it is. When it's grown in the ground, like carrots, like potatoes in the ground, that makes it more yang. We're not going to talk about meat because that is not, I don't think, a really healthy food to have as a mainstay in your diet. And that would be pretty much any kind of meat. We're talking about real healing food. Now, I've seen, as far as hormones, I'm trying to center myself here. As far as hormones, I have seen women with very severe hormone issues whereby the symptomology was the person was very weepy. They were very weepy, which is yin. They would cry for no reason, which is also yin. Okay. And what I do are a couple of different things for women going through hormonal challenges that find themselves too weepy, too sensitive, and, abnormally so for them. And women know what's abnormal for them. Your doctor's not going to tell you that. You're going to tell yourself that. But you want to try to eat more root vegetables, get rid of the junk food in your diet, and use a homeopathic formula for female testosterone, because that will balance out the yin very nicely. So on our website, we have homeopathic EndoPure Testos, which balances out. It's yang, so it's going to balance out the yin. But with food, you can do it with eating sweet potatoes, delicious, baked potatoes. You can do it that way. Don't put butter on it. Stay away from dairy products and all grains except rice and quinoa. Rice and quinoa. Rice is the most neutral grain. Quinoa is also more neutral. We want to stay away from gluten, and we want to eat a lot of vegetables every day. Notice if you do that, how great you feel. Hey, Daryl, have you ever done that, just eating vegetables for a day?
I have, and yeah, you're right.
You
Meat
felt different?
tends to make you slow down and feel bloated and blah, blah.
Those of you who did my dare last week, I didn't get any photos of your drinking wheatgrass, but I had this dare out last week for anyone who wants to get 10% off of anything on my site. All you need to do is drink a couple ounces of wheatgrass and take a picture of your face doing it, and then put it on Facebook, and then we'll send you a coupon for 10%. So that still stands this week.
I'm going to do it.
You're going to do it?
I'm going to do it.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait.
No,
everybody wants to see.
Yeah.
But 10%.
Should make it a public event.
Make it a public event.
People come to executions.
Right, I know. It's a sad and sick thing you just said, but it's true. So we have to understand that wheatgrass is good for your body, really good to detoxify. It has a lot of amino acids. It has a lot of chlorophyll, and it has a lot of biophotons. The darker the vegetable, green, the darker green vegetables have more biophotons in them from light. Okay, so you want to eat food that's filled with biophotons because that goes into your cells. And I would say if you could grow your own, I'm talking about vegetables here. If you could grow your own veggies, okay, anything green is a good thing to grow, and make sure you use organic fertilizer and whatever you're using.
Once you prepare this wheatgrass shot, if you will, right? How long does it last before you have to drink it?
Immediately. Otherwise, it can degrade.
Okay, so I couldn't get one ahead of the show and bring it in here and do it live on
We
Facebook.
Would make an exception for you doing that just to get it on video.
Next week I'll do it.
To make all my followers, they'll be happy. I mean, you will set a precedent.
I will do it live on the show next week.
All right. We're going to have wheatgrass shots tomorrow. You bring it in, and I'll take a picture of my face, which will have a big smile on it, but you never know. And then
I'll do it live.
After you do the wheatgrass, you can take a slice of organic orange, okay, to cut the taste if you need it. But
or some cookie dough ice cream?
No. But it's a good try, Daryl. It's a good try.
Try to slip it.
Right. So what we need to know is that food as medicine is very important. You have the tools. You have the foods. You certainly have so much love in your life. I know you do. Look for it. If you don't feel it, then come to this show every week and you'll get it. All you need to know is that food as medicine is so very important. Even eating foods that are more hydrating. Like if you want to hydrate your body and you don't have water and you can get your hands on some grapes, organic grapes are filled with water. They're hydrating. Your kidneys love that. Remember, your kidneys need water. So a couple liters of water a day are very good. Make sure it's a clean water, pure water, reverse osmosis water with, you can put my nanoionic minerals in there, which brings the pH up of any water you want to a good, healthy pH. Okay, so it could be 7.5, 8, 8.5. If you put in a little more, the more you put in, the more the pH goes up. So what we have to understand that the food we eat makes our body pH healed, that you will not get a good pH body system by eating Big Macs and all the unhealthy fast food, and then you drink a bottle of high pH water. That's not going to do it. You do it with your food and your water. You do it with a whole healthy lifestyle. And many people who are suffering need to understand that your emotions can also create health issues. Let's say it's not your teeth. It's not anything else. You're eating well. And I hear this all the time. I have no health issues with my physical body. I've had thermograms. I had blood done. I've had urine done. I've had, but I need your help, Dr. Dale, because I'm suffering. And so when I test them in my office, I may find emotions there, or identities or belief systems. And so what we do is neurophysical reprogramming, where we go down into the DNA you don't have to do anything. You lie there and your body tells me everything to do. And you go into your DNA, we find the identity that's in the pain, that's in the ache, that's whatever is affecting you mentally or emotionally, and we neutralize it. And we neutralize it with a process and with homeopathic remedies, neuroemotional remedies that go in to the element of where that is stuck, to the organ, gland, cellular structure, wherever that is, that imprint is, and we permanently eliminate it. Permanently. So I'm going to say it again. Permanently. In other words, you never have to do the same thing twice. Now, I don't know anything else like that, where you never have to do it twice. And the reason I really created neurophysical technology, neurophysical reprogramming, is to handle all of my stuff, you know? I mean, I had a childhood just like you. And I didn't have a very loving childhood. I had a childhood that was abusive. And so rather than blame other people for what happened to me, I took responsibility, and I worked and did all the trainings for psychology, Jung, Freud, investigated everything you could possibly investigate with emotions, and found a love for the 5-element theory, because it's 2,000 years old and it's accurate. And so within that whole systems of everything I've learned, I put together a technique that incorporates it all, so that we can use the best of all of these things and do it so that it's fun for me. And if you had it done, it would be like you were in a meditation. You were at peace. You don't have to cry and scream in order to make this happen. It's done internally by you, and I guide you, but you know the answers and you come up with the answers. So it's really fun for people to do. They love it. And that is a very important thing, because I don't want to have stress when I'm doing work on people, because that affects the work. I want it to flow. So we have the doctors that have taken this training. It's only available for me to do with you, or for my doctors to do with you. And so doctors love to do it because it's not stressful for them. It's easy to do. For the patient, there's no resistance. The patient's compliant. So that is the little bit of information on what you're going to see in the book, Transform Your Emotional DNA. We talked about food as medicine. We can test any food on your body, okay? And that's a good thing too. But even better, it's important to learn to test yourself. Okay, and if you'd like to learn how to do that, then come and see me at an event where I teach people how to test themselves. Wouldn't that be freeing? Wouldn't that be empowering if you could come up with your own answers? I couldn't want anything more for you. And now we're going to talk about politics for health. And before we do that, in the last 7 minutes, I want to make sure, Daryl, that I know I'm not giving you enough time to, okay, we are going to talk about a nutraceutical, some new research on niacinamide, that what I've been saying for years is using niacinamide as a preventative for cancer. Now they're using it for melanoma, and they're using it for different types of cancer, not only melanoma, but they're using it to prevent it, to see it get better, and that's in medical literature now. But it's always been, niacinamide is awesome for the brain, the circulatory system. It's good for the cardiovascular system. It will rock diabetes. You will see it. You will see your blood sugar change for diabetes. And the most important thing for me in making a product is that it's all from the United States, and I don't have ingredients from China. So everything is clean, and it doesn't have any heavy metals in it. Because when you make products like niacinamide, it's not on the label where the source of it comes from, and that's a problem. And if it has magnesium stearate and stearic acid and all that kind of junk in it, that's really bad for you, and you don't want to buy products like that, and you want to buy products in veggie caps. So that's what I decided to do when I made my clean green line, is to put everything good in it. And I would say that the last thing about that is that there is something in California called Prop 65. It's a proposition that doesn't allow any more than 5 parts per million. Anything 5 parts per million or over of heavy metals will not be allowed. And then you just have to put on the label that your product has mercury or heavy metals in it or lead, right? But that's not okay, because what manufacturers do is they put 4.999% of a heavy metal in it. It has to be under 5 parts per million. I want to tell you, this is ridiculous. You have to make sure you know where your product is sourced. It's not on the label. And if you go to my website, you'll see that I talk about this, and I don't talk about this all the time on my show. Maybe I should more, but this might be the second time in over 100 shows. We have 102 shows, right, that we've done on this radio network, Natural Health Radio, and I probably only talked about it 2 times, but the sourcing of your products is key. And the ingredients, every single ingredient. You can have really cheap products, okay, that are sourced from China. It would be half the cost of what it is. But what good is that if it's going to make you sick and put heavy metals in your body? So we want to consider that. Now we're going to move on to the politics of health. And all I have to say here is we have the 3 Bs. What is it? Beto, Biden, and somebody else. What is the other guy's name? Oh, Bernie Sanders.
You forgot Bernie.
Bernie, Beto, Biden, the 3 Bs. I don't know if I like any of those. And I don't know, what are you pointing at?
I just didn't know whether you wanted to play the opening or not, or we're bagging it.
We're bagging the opening.
Okay.
I'm beyond the opening. We're back down to 3 minutes. I can just tell you that to become a politician today, you have to really consider what kind of person would want to be a politician. I want you to think about that, okay? And then think about making a choice, because you have to vote. You have to vote. You could make a choice for Independent, Green Party, Democrat, or Republican. Find a person who's not a politician and who's running, who's not really a politician, and we may have a better chance. We may not have a better chance. I know Daryl's rolling his eyes over there, but...
Is that what we got right now?
Well, that is... I don't know. I think he turned into a politician.
Okay.
I think he turned into a politician, what we have right now. And I think Bernie is good. There's just a lot of possibilities, and I think we may have more people. I think there's 23 people running as in the Democratic Party. I think we need more women. I think we need more aliens.
Aliens?
I think we need
more green people.
We need more green people, baby.
The Green Party doesn't mean green people.
It doesn't. The Green Party is a good party. Okay?
I agree.
Yeah. So we need people from the Green Party to go into the Democratic Party and say, hey, I'm green. You know, I mean, we need something, and I don't know if I like too much of what I'm seeing in anything. And the most important thing I have to say is the politics of healthcare today. If we want free health care, and if we're going to do Medicare for all, you have to start writing letters to find out what that includes for each candidate. You have to nail it to the wall, nail them to the wall. What does Medicare for all look like? Are they going to include natural medicine like they do in other countries? Have you been to other countries and know that their hospitals have homeopathy and natural medicine, chiropractors, herbs, good food? Why don't we have that? Why would we vote for Medicare for all when we don't know what it'll include? In the few seconds we have left, I want to tell you I love you and wish you many blessings, and we'll see you next week. So bye-bye for now.